ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن
الرحمن الرحيم
المرسلين.
والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. In this video, we're going to be talking about Juz 23. Juz 23 start off wherever we left off in Surah Yasin, and we're at the part where Allah is discussing how there never comes to a people messengers except that those people mock them and make fun of them and accuse them and label them. And so and Allah's talking to the audience right now is, of course, the people of Mecca, and Allah's telling them do you not realize are you not like looking at the people of the past who've been destroyed just like you? Messengers came to them too, and you're doing just the same thing as the people of their times did to them, and they were destroyed. And Allah reminds us that everyone will be brought before Allah, and then Allah goes on to talk about various signs. For example, the land when it's dead, and then Allah brings life to it again. It turns green and crops grow again. Allah talks about the fruit that we eat. Allah talks about the livestock that we make use of, and Allah says, we've tamed them, and some of them we use to ride, and some of them we use to eat. And there are other benefits from these livestock and drinks that we take. For example, milk. And Allah asks us, so will you not be grateful? These are very little blessings that we take for granted. For example, how many times do we open the fridge, look at milk, and realize, wow, subhanAllah, this came from a cow that Allah made, and tie back to Allah. So it's all about being grateful. And after Allah poses these signs, Allah says, after mentioning all of this, yet they have still taken, besides Allah, other gods. They can't do anything for them. They can't make anything. They haven't helped them at all. In Surah Yasin, Allah also mentions how the Prophet they had what the message he's bringing forth is not poetry. That's not befitting for him, but rather it's a clear Quran. It's a word of Allah that the Prophet is being revealed to. Towards the end of Surah Yasin, Allah reminds us that for Allah, all it is be and it is. When Allah wants to intend a thing to happen, the matter is simply as be and it is, and the thing comes into existence. The next surah in this juz is Surah Safat. Allah begins his surah by swearing by the different types of angels that have different duties. So Allah swears by the angels that are arranged in rows, the angels that drive the clouds, and those that bring the Quran from Allah to mankind. And Allah swears by these different types of angels to let us know that there's no God but Allah, and that Allah is the Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything in between. One thing that I want to point out in this surah, there's lots of mention of the scene of the Day of Judgment, of the description of Jannah, the description of the hellfire. There's one passage that I really found very astounding, and it's a conversation that's taking place by an individual that will be in Jannah. All right, in the afterlife, he will be in Jannah, and he will be asking about a friend that he used to had. So he'll be saying, I had a companion on earth, who didn't believe in the resurrection. He all he thought was that this life is it. You only live once. And he'll be asked, do you really want to look for who this friend is? And so when this individual in Jannah looks out for his companion that he used to know in this life, he will find him in the hellfire. This companion that he used to have will be in the hellfire, and the individual that's in Jannah will be, he'll be like shocked. He'll be saying, by Allah, you almost ruined me. You almost dragged me with you. And if it wasn't by the favor of Allah, I would have been those that would be in the hellfire. And so, like we've mentioned before, this passage kind of shows you how severe hanging out with certain type of people can do to you, the effect that can have on you. So if you hang around people that like, especially people who mock Allah, who mock Islam. First of all, we're not even supposed to sit in a place where people are mocking Allah. We're supposed to either like get up and leave, or disattach ourselves from that conversation, or stand up for our deen, basically. And so this passage just emphasizes to you how important good company is, and how important it is to surround ourselves with people that remind us of Allah. Because this guy almost dragged the guy in Jannah is asking for his companion, and he's saying, Bile, you almost took me with you. That's how powerful company can be. This surah continues, and various prophets are mentioned. The story of Noah Islam is mentioned, and how his people were destroyed. Prophet Ibrahim is mentioned, and the discussion of his test, the way the sacrifice of his son is mentioned. Allah talks about Isaac salam and his progeny. Allah talks about Musa salam and Aaron, how they were saved, and Bani Israel was saved. And Allah talks about different other prophets. Ilyas salam, Allah talks about Lut salam, Allah talks about Jonah salam. Um, and towards the end of the surah, Allah confirms, Allah says that glorified be Allah from what they attribute to Him, and these people of the past are reminders for us all. So those stories are reminders for us to take. And the next surah is Surah Sad, and Surah Sad starts off with Allah swearing by the Quran. This Quran is a reminder, but those who are just the disbelieving people, out of their pride and arrogance, they don't realize this. As we go on, Allah mentions Allah mentions the story of Solomon salam, of David salam, and how Solomon was tested with his kingdom. But even though he had all this wealth and all this possession, and he was given certain powers, he returned to Allah with obedience, and he was repentant, and he was never of those who were arrogant. And Allah talks about the different prophets again, and how this is a reminder. And Allah talks about Jannah and the descriptions of Jannah. Allah mentions how the Prophet ﷺ is only a warner from Allah who is inspired by Allah, and there's no God but Allah. Allah talks about the story of Iblis, and he was a disbeliever. He thought he was better than Adam salam, and so he was cast out, and he was cursed until the day of judgment. And Shaitan's promise was that he will try to lead every single person astray. One thing to understand is that the people who Shaitan attacks aren't just the people who already deny Allah. Shaitan works on the people of belief, who are trying to do the right thing, and Shaitan sits right there on the straight path and tries to divert them. And the people that he tries to attack are the people that try to come to the masjid, that are trying to be good, yet he tries to lead them astray. So understanding who Shaitan is and Shaitan's mission is the first step in protecting ourselves against Shaitan. The next surah is Surah Zumar. In this surah, Allah talks about the claim that Allah has a son, and Allah says how preposterous this claim is. Allah is one, Allah is Qudus, Allah is doesn't need to have a son. If Allah wanted to, He could have, but He is above this. Sometimes when you associate such a thing with Allah, it's associating weaknesses with God. Childbirth and having to have somebody to look out for, and all the stuff that's associated with Allah and other religions. Allah said Allah is above this. And in the surah, Allah also mentions how there are people who call upon Allah only when adversity touches them, only when they're facing hardships or difficulty do they remember Allah. But when Allah removes them of that hardship, or Allah favors them or blesses them with something, they are not grateful. They don't remember the favor of Allah. Allah also mentions how there will be nobody who will bear the burdens of anybody else. Those that are, obedient to Allah, those that pray and do sujood to Allah, and they are afraid of the hereafter and hope for the mercy of their Lord, those will be the ones that attain Jannah. Allah reminds us that the patient will be the ones that will be given their reward without account. And we're told to say that we've been commanded to worship Allah and to be sincere to Him alone. The rest of the surah finishes off in Juz 24. Keep following the series for the summary of the rest of the surah. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.